Discover 13 Stoic lessons to transform rejection into personal growth and success. Imagine this. You've just poured your heart into a project, confessed your feelings to someone, or applied for your dream job, and then boom, rejected. You feel like the ground has been pulled from under you. It's gut-wrenching, isn't it? But what if I told you there's a way to turn that rejection into a catalyst for personal growth and even greater success? What if rejection could become your teacher, your ally, and your compass? Today, we're diving deep into 13 Stoic lessons that can transform rejection from a source of pain into a foundation for building an unshakable mindset. By the end of this journey, you won't just tolerate rejection, you'll welcome it as an opportunity to grow stronger. Let's start with the first lesson. Picture Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher. Despite being one of the most powerful people in history, he constantly faced rejection from advisors, generals, even the Senate. In his journal, Meditations, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Think about that for a moment. How often do we hand over control of our emotions to external events? Rejection isn't the problem. The problem is how we interpret it. Lesson 1 is this: rejection only hurts because we attach our self-worth to the outcome. When we untangle who we are from what happens to us, rejection loses its sting. Ask yourself, am I letting external outcomes define who I am? Now, this leads us to lesson 2. Focus on what you can control. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, put it simply, some things are up to us, and some are not. You can control your effort, your preparation, and your reaction to rejection, but you can't control other people's decisions or opinions. Why waste energy on what isn't yours to command? Here's a story to illustrate. A young entrepreneur pitched her startup to 50 investors and got rejected every single time. She could have spiraled into despair. Instead, she focused on refining her pitch, learning from feedback, and improving her product. Eventually, her 51st attempt led to a deal that transformed her company into a global success. What about you? Are you obsessing over outcomes you can't control? Or are you investing your energy into what's within your grasp? Lesson 3, rejection is feedback, not failure. Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Rejection isn't an ending, it's information. It's a mirror showing you what needs adjustment. Whether in your strategy, your mindset, or your approach, take it as an opportunity to recalibrate. What if every rejection you've ever faced was simply preparing you for your next breakthrough? But here's where it gets even more profound. Lesson 4, detach from the ego. Rejection bruises our ego because it feels personal. But the truth is, it's rarely about you as a person. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you're just a tiny part of a vast, interconnected universe. When you step back and see rejection as a small event in the grand scheme of your life, it loses its power to define you. How small does this rejection look when viewed from the perspective of your entire life or the universe itself? Lesson 5 takes this further. Find freedom in accepting reality. The Stoics believed in amor fati, a love of one's fate. It's not just about accepting what happens, but embracing it as necessary for your growth. Epictetus said, "Do not seek to have events happen as you wish, but wish for them to happen as they do, and you will go on well." What if rejection was exactly what you needed to evolve into your best self? Let's pause for a moment. Think about a rejection you've faced recently. What emotions did it stir in you? Did it spark fear, anger, or self-doubt? Why? These emotions aren't caused by the rejection itself, but by your judgments about it. Here's lesson 6. Challenge your judgments. Stoicism teaches us that emotions come not from events, but from the stories we tell ourselves about those events. Reframe the narrative. Instead of "I failed," try "I'm learning." Instead of "I'm not good enough," try "This is part of my journey." Now we arrive at lesson 7. Practice negative visualization. This might sound counterintuitive, but it's one of the most powerful Stoic tools. Imagine the worst-case scenario. What if this rejection had never happened, and you succeeded prematurely without learning the lessons you needed? Sometimes, the very thing we fear is the thing that saves us. As we close this first part, I want to leave you with a question. Imagine you're 10 years in the future, looking back on this moment of rejection. What will you see? A setback, or the first step in your transformation? The answer lies not in the event, but in how you choose to respond. And in part 2, we'll uncover 6 more Stoic lessons that will take your resilience to the next level, including how to use rejection as a springboard for achieving clarity, purpose, and true freedom. From adversity to mastery, Stoic strategies to transform pain into power. Rejection is a crucible. It burns away illusions and leaves you face to face with your raw, unpolished self. But what happens next? Do you let the flames consume you, or do you emerge stronger, sharper, and more resilient? In this second part, we'll explore 6 Stoic strategies that will not only help you endure rejection but transform it into an engine for personal growth and mastery. Let's start with Lesson 8. Rejection is an invitation to clarity. Think of a time when rejection forced you to reassess your path. Maybe you were chasing a goal that wasn't truly yours. Seneca wrote, "If one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable." Rejection can be the gust of wind that forces you to pause and re-examine your direction. Ask yourself, is this rejection showing me that I'm pursuing something out of alignment with my true purpose? Sometimes, the door that closes saves you from entering a room where you don't belong. This brings us to Lesson 9. Find purpose through reflection. Marcus Aurelius often wrote to himself, questioning his motives and actions. Rejection offers you the same opportunity. Take time to reflect not just on what went wrong, but on why you wanted this in the first place. What deeper value or principle were you trying to honor? By reconnecting with your core values, you can chart a course that aligns more authentically with who you are. Let me share a story. There was once an artist who submitted his work to a prestigious gallery, only to face harsh criticism. Instead of quitting, he spent weeks reflecting on his art's purpose. He realized he had been painting to impress others, not to express himself. This rejection transformed his work into something deeply personal, and soon after, he gained recognition for his authenticity. What about you? Are you chasing validation? Or are you living authentically? Lesson 10 takes this deeper. Turn rejection into preparation. Epictetus believed that life is a training ground. He said, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are." Every rejection is like lifting a heavier weight at the gym. It builds strength. Instead of seeing rejection as a stop sign, view it as a stepping stone. How can you use this experience to prepare for something even greater? Here's where we get practical. Lesson 11. Create a Stoic practice of journaling. Marcus Aurelius' Meditations wasn't written for anyone but himself. It was his way of processing challenges and clarifying his thoughts. Start by journaling after every rejection. Write down what happened, how you felt, and what you can learn. Then, write a response to yourself as if you were your own Stoic teacher. Imagine the wisdom you'd offer a friend in your position, and give that wisdom to yourself. Now let's talk about Lesson 12. See rejection as a test of your virtues. The Stoics believed that true happiness comes from living virtuously, cultivating wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. When you're rejected, it's a chance to practice these virtues. Can you remain calm and composed? Can you treat others with fairness, even when they say no? Can you summon the courage to try again? Every rejection is an opportunity to grow stronger in your character. How would your life change if you viewed rejection not as a failure but as a test you're meant to pass? Finally, we reach Lesson 13, redefine success. The Stoics didn't measure success by wealth, fame, or power. Instead, they measured it by how well they lived in accordance with their principles. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you seek tranquility, do less, or more accurately, do what's essential." Rejection often feels painful because it threatens our sense of achievement. But what if success isn't about the outcome but about the process? What if trying your best, staying true to your values, and learning from every experience is the ultimate success? Let me challenge you with a question as we end this section. If you couldn't fail, if every rejection was simply another step toward mastery, what would you pursue with your whole heart? In part 3, we'll uncover how to integrate these lessons into your daily life and use them to build unshakable confidence, deeper relationships, and a legacy of resilience. From adversity to mastery, Stoic strategies to transform pain into power. Rejection, as we've explored, is not a dead end but a doorway. But let's be honest, walking through that doorway isn't easy. It takes deliberate practice and a shift in perspective. In this second part, we'll delve into 6 additional Stoic lessons that transform rejection into a tool for mastering your inner world and achieving your outer goals. Let's start with Lesson 8. Turn rejection into clarity. When you're rejected, it forces you to question what you truly want. Seneca wrote, "If one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable." Rejection can be the wind that redirects your ship toward a clearer, truer path. Ask yourself, what does this rejection reveal about my desires, my goals, or even my flaws? Are you pursuing something because it's truly meaningful? Or are you chasing it because of societal expectations or fleeting ego? Consider this story. A man applied for a high-paying corporate job, only to be rejected. He was devastated until he realized he didn't even want that job. What he truly wanted was the freedom to work on his own terms. That rejection became the catalyst for him to start his own business. Sometimes, rejection is the universe's way of saying, "This is not your path." What about you? Is the rejection you're facing right now pointing you to something better? Lesson 9 builds on this. Reframe pain as preparation. The Stoics believed that life is like a gym for the soul, and every rejection is a weight we must lift to grow stronger. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Think of rejection as resistance training for your resilience. Each no you face conditions your mind and heart to endure, adapt, and overcome. How would your life change if you saw every setback as training for your next breakthrough? Here's where it gets practical. Lesson 10. Control your focus. In the face of rejection, it's easy to spiral into self-pity or anger. But as Epictetus reminds us, where your attention goes, your energy flows. You can focus on what you've lost, or you can focus on what you've learned. Picture a spotlight. Instead of shining it on the closed door, shine it on the new possibilities it's revealing. For example, did that rejection teach you a new skill, introduce you to a new perspective, or reveal a hidden strength? Let me challenge you with this. When was the last time you chose to focus on the opportunity hidden within your pain? Right now, take a moment to think of one positive outcome that could emerge from your current challenge. This brings us to Lesson 11. Embrace the power of patience. Seneca said, "Time heals what reason cannot." Rejection often feels like an immediate wound, but with time, it becomes a scar, and scars remind us of our resilience. The Stoics believed in the importance of long-term thinking, instead of obsessing over today's no. Think about where you'll be in 5 years if you use this rejection as fuel. Remember, the greatest oak trees grow slowly. What if this rejection is simply the seed being planted? Here's a quick exercise. The next time you feel rejected, write a letter to your future self. Describe how you'll look back on this moment with pride, knowing you used it to grow. Then revisit that letter when you need a reminder of how far you've come. Lesson 12 takes us deeper. Redefine success. Most of us fear rejection because we define success in narrow terms: getting the job, winning the deal, or gaining approval. But what if success wasn't about external outcomes? What if it was about becoming the kind of person who perseveres, learns, and grows? Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Rejection isn't a verdict on your worth. It's a test of your character. Are you willing to redefine success on your own terms? Here's an example. A writer received dozens of rejection letters before finally publishing her first novel. Instead of quitting, she decided her definition of success wasn't getting published, but writing every day. That shift in perspective freed her from the fear of rejection and allowed her to focus on what truly mattered, her craft. How do you define success? Is it aligned with your values, or is it dictated by others? Finally, Lesson 13. Cultivate gratitude for the struggle. This might sound strange, but the Stoics believed that gratitude wasn't just for the good times, it was especially for the hard times. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars, and see yourself running with them. When you face rejection, take a moment to appreciate the lessons it's teaching you." Gratitude transforms pain into wisdom and struggle into growth. What if every rejection was a hidden gift? As we wrap up this part, let's pause for another deep question. If you knew that every rejection you faced was shaping you into the person you're meant to become, how would that change the way you approach life? In the final part, we'll explore the ultimate Stoic secret to transforming rejection into lasting success. You'll discover how to use these lessons to build a mindset so unshakable that rejection becomes not just bearable, but empowering. The unshakable mindset. How Stoicism turns rejection into unstoppable success. We've reached the final stage of our journey, and now it's time to tie everything together. You've already uncovered the profound wisdom Stoicism offers in transforming rejection into growth and clarity. But this last part is where we elevate those lessons into an unstoppable mindset, a way of being that thrives not despite rejection but because of it. Let's begin by revisiting a foundational idea. You are not defined by rejection, you are defined by your response to it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Your mindset determines your reality. Rejection doesn't diminish your potential unless you let it. It's not the obstacle itself, but the story you tell yourself about it that holds power. What story are you telling yourself about your latest rejection? Is it one of failure? Or is it the beginning of a triumph? Here's the first key to an unshakable mindset. Rejection is a catalyst, not a conclusion. When you understand this, every no becomes fuel for your next yes. Consider Thomas Edison, who famously said after thousands of failed attempts to invent the light bulb, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Each rejection brought him closer to success. This mindset turns rejection from a stopping point into a stepping stone. Ask yourself, how can I use this rejection to move forward, not backward? The second key is this: detach your value from external outcomes. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from within. Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When you base your self-worth on external validation, you become a prisoner of other people's opinions. But when your value is rooted in your character and effort, rejection loses its power over you. Reflect on this. What if you measured success not by what you achieve, but by how you grow? Now, let's take a moment to ground this in practice. The third key to an unshakable mindset is self-discipline. Rejection often tempts us to give up or wallow in self-pity. But Stoicism teaches us that discipline is the path to freedom. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily to stay focused on his purpose. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, "I have to go to work as a human being." Rejection is a call to action. Instead of retreating, double down on your efforts. What's one step you can take today to move closer to your goal? Despite rejection. This brings us to the fourth key. Surround yourself with wisdom. The Stoics understood that we don't grow in isolation. They studied, mentored, and supported each other. When you face rejection, seek out people who inspire and challenge you. Read the writings of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, or Epictetus. Listen to stories of people who turned failure into greatness. Remember, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Are you surrounding yourself with voices that lift you up or tear you down? Here's a powerful exercise. Write down the names of 3 people living or historical, whose resilience inspires you? What lessons can you learn from their journeys? The fifth key to an unshakable mindset is perhaps the most counterintuitive: surrender to the process. This doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go of the need for immediate results. The Stoics embraced patience, knowing that greatness unfolds over time. Marcus Aurelius said, "No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a figure. If you tell me you desire a figure, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen." Rejection often signals that it's not the right time. Yet, trust the process and keep showing up. The sixth and final key is this: turn rejection into gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus from scarcity to abundance. Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. That is poor." When you're rejected, it's easy to fixate on what you didn't get. But what about what you already have? Gratitude turns rejection into a reminder of your resilience, your resources, and your opportunities. What are you grateful for today, even in the face of rejection? Let's end with a story. There was once a young artist who submitted his work to dozens of galleries, only to be turned away each time. Instead of giving up, he decided to exhibit his art on the streets. Over time, his unique style caught the attention of passersby, and eventually, a gallery owner took a chance on him. That artist went on to become a household name. His name? Vincent van Gogh. Even in the face of relentless rejection, he persevered. As we close, I want to leave you with one last question. What would your life look like if rejection no longer had the power to stop you? You've now discovered 13 Stoic lessons to transform rejection into personal growth and success. But remember, the real transformation happens not in knowing but in doing. Apply these lessons, revisit them when you falter, and most importantly, never forget, rejection is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your greatness. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Your growth is the ultimate proof that Stoicism is not just a philosophy. It's a way of life.